Sandor Clegane, the Hound. Woof. In both book and show, he's a cynical man with a tragic past, although one arc ends in peace and the other in fiery death, with lots of comic relief catchphrases and chicken along the way. This is the real Hound. The Hound's origins in the show and book are practically the same. A kennel master named Clegane once saved Lord Tytos Lannister and was rewarded with a keep. He had 3 grandchildren, Gregor, Sandor, and an unnamed daughter. When Sandor was 7, a woodcarver gifted toys to the Cleganes, including a wooden knight for Gregor. Sandor took the knight for himself, but was discovered by his brother, who thrusted his face into the burning coals of a brazier. In the show, the right side of his face was burned, while in the books, it was his left side. His father explained the wounds away by claiming his bed had caught fire. At age 12, he killed a man, potentially during Robert's rebellion. In the books, Sandor joined the Lannister household guard on the day Gregor took over the keep, and when Robert's rebellion broke out, he was part of Lord Tywin's host during the sack of King's Landing. At some point, Queen Cersei Lannister assigned him as Prince Joffrey Baratheon's sworn sword. Let's begin with the show. In Season 1, we meet the Hound when he arrives at Winterfell, as part of Bobby B's retinue. He wears brigandine armour, dented shoulder plates, and a big dog head's helm. This was after Westeros lost the knowledge of 3D printing helmets. The actor Rory McCann stands at 1.98 meters, or 6 foot 6 inches, and was in his early 40s at the start of the show. His red burn scars are on the right side of his face, partly covered up by stringy hair and a beard. Sandor is Joffrey's pet dog, although to be fair, he doesn't do much when Tyrion slaps him around.
If he forgets, be a good dog and remind him.
He creeps Sansa out on the journey back to King's Landing, and later rides down the butcher's boy Mycah on the orders of the Lannisters. He doesn't show any remorse for this. While Sansa is trying to watch the tourney in peace, her creepy Uncle Peter rocks up with some beer. "Wow, Sansa, you're so mature for your age." He dramatically regales her with the tale of Gregor burning Sandor. How does he know this? Who told him? He's Littlefinger, he knows everything, I guess. Did he have spies all those years ago? Or is this a widely known fact in the show universe? Regardless, when Gregor loses to Loras and gracefully accepts his defeat by trying to decapitate the little twink, Sandor leaps to the lad's defense. They trade blows until King Bobby demands they stop. Sandor is present when Ned attempts his coup, joins the City Watch in slaying the Stark Guard, and later captures Sansa. When Ned is executed, the stoic Hound picks up his head and presents it to the crowd. With Barristan expelled from the Kingsguard, Sandor is given a white cloak. Unlike the thuggish Samarin, who beats Sansa on Joffrey's orders, Sandor dabs her bloodied mouth with a handkerchief, stopping her from pushing Joffrey to his death. In Season 2, the Hound fights during Joffrey's Name Day tournament. Once again, Samarin is ordered to beat Sansa, while the Hound watches in silent discomfort. After Meryn is stopped by Tyrion, Sandor tears his white cloak off and wraps it around the girl. Despite his protectiveness, her false courtesy annoys him. The Hound proves invaluable during the King's Landing riot, carving a path for Joffrey to get to safety. He rescues Sansa from the mob, and when Tyrion thanks him, states he didn't do it for the dwarf. When Sansa later thanks him, Sandor brags about how much he loves killing like an edgy boy. He wants to maintain his hateful persona, but affirms that he is the only one standing between her and Joffrey's wrath. Just before the Battle of the Blackwater, the Hound gets into an argument with Bronn. In his mind, he sees a cold, hardened killer like Bronn pretending to find joy in life, which of course angers an innately miserable dog like him. He also says he's put women in the ground, so I guess he's murdered women? Is that canon? He's killed women? Why? Or is he just playing up his edgy character? The Hound squares up to him, Bronn gets up and grabs his knife, holy shit. The only thing that stops them from clashing is the sound of the bells proclaiming Stannis' arrival. So, were they gonna fight to the death because the Hound doesn't like fun? God damn. Well, he also doesn't like wildfire. He flees the Battle of the Blackwater, but not before spouting one of the hardest show-only lines ever.
Any man dies with a clean sword, I'll rip his fucking corpse!
I'll be a corpse for you, Sandor. The fire is too much and he retreats back inside the walls, demanding wine and throwing expletives at Tyrion. This is the origin of all those fucks and cunts.
Fuck the king.
Before he flees the city, he goes to Sansa's bedchamber. He offers to take her to Winterfell, but she thinks she'll be rescued by Stannis. Although he says the world is built by killers, she tells the Violet Man he won't hurt her. He agrees and flees into exile. Moving on to the books. In A Game of Thrones, Sandor is about 6'8", 28 years old, and bears grotesque burn marks on the left side of his face. He wears plain plate armor and boasts a dog head helmet. Like in the show, Sandor is Joffrey's loyal dog, guarding him in Winterfell and slaying Mycah the Butcher's Boy. At King's Landing, he takes part in the Hand's Tourney, unhorsing Lord Renly Baratheon and Sir Jaime Lannister. He drunkenly accosts Sansa, personally telling her the story of his burned face, calling her a little bird for her courteous naivety, and sparking a more intense relationship between the two than than their show counterparts. In fact, he threatens her with death if she tells anyone about his past. Like the show, though, he saves Loras Tyrell from his brother and later takes part in slaying the Stark household guard, cutting down a man named Caden. He also takes Jane Poole into custody with the aid of a warhammer. It is Joffrey's idea to give his bodyguard a white cloak, although the dog refuses to be made a knight. His relationship with Sansa is dark and complex. In a way, he clearly cares for her, dabbing at her bloody lip, saying enough when Boros Blount beats her, rescuing her from the mob, but his interest in the 12-year-old is not purely wholesome, if you catch my drift. Sansa is also a source of bitterness for the Hound. She's the personification of a fair maiden, and he is but a burned, ugly dog she can barely stand to look at. He calls her a stupid bird who sings all the songs she's taught to sing. Her naive view of the world, including her admiration for true knights, angers him. The world is not a song, and knights like his brother are neither admirable nor true. This traumatized cynic mockingly asks her to sing him a song about knights and fair maids. She offers Jonquil and Florian, which he rejects. But Florian the Fool is a hero, just an unorthodox one, a bit like the Hound. Oh, and he also compliments her boobs for some reason. Mate, she's like 12, relax. At the Battle of the Blackwater, he runs away from the wildfire, although he says bugger the king's hand instead of fuck the king, which doesn't go as hard. Their meeting with Sansa is very different. He does offer to take her with him, but when she refuses, he puts a knife to her throat and demands that she sings. A song of true knights and heroes, a memory of his childhood idealism, a ballad of a better world. She was willing to sing of Jonquil and Florian before, now she is forced to sing at knife point. Once she is done, Sandor flees into the night. Back to the show. The Hound is captured by the Brotherhood without banners and placed in the Nuremberg trials. They blame him for atrocities at the sack of King's Landing and the Battle of the Mummers Ford, but he insists those were his brother's crimes. However, Arya accuses him of killing Micah. He was just following orders, that's what they all say. They give him a trial by combat. Beric ignites his blade, which makes Sandor shit himself. He's initially on the back foot, but manages to cleave his sword through Beric's shoulder. The revived Beric releases Sandor, but he lingers around like a creep and kidnaps Arya to sell her back to her family. They go on a fun little road trip. She tries to kill him with a rock, he threatens to break her hands, that kind of thing. To get to the wedding at the Twins, Sandor hijacks a pork wagon, which is what Roose Bolton's been doing ever since he married Fat Walder. Arya stops him from callously killing the wagon driver. When the Red Wedding breaks out, Sandor knocks Arya unconscious before she can race into the castle, and they ride away. They come across a group of Frey soldiers, and she stabs one of them to death, prompting the Hound to quickly slay the rest. Is that chicken? That better not be chicken. Season 4 rocks around, and the Arya-Sandor journey through the war-torn Riverlands continues. Ardor? Sanya? It's a wolf and cub, Joel and Ellie, Mando and Grogu situation. Sandor wants to ransom Arya, and the closest living relative is Lysa Arryn of the Vale. If you ignore the Blackfish, but if they go to River Run, they're going to be arrested by the Freys. Outside of a tavern, Arya recognises a Lannister soldier, Polliver, the man who killed Lommy Greenhands. She draws attention to them, and to avoid suspicion, the Hound enters the tavern with her. Thus begins a very tense scene, stuffed with chicken-related innuendos.
Chickens. Salami.
Polliver recognises Sandor, and it's only a matter of time before the tension snaps and a fight breaks out. He kills everyone except Polliver, whose life is claimed by Arya Stark. Once the Hound has ransomed Arya to Lysa Arryn, he wants to travel to the Free Cities and become a sellsword. Killing is the sweetest thing there is, after all. A farmer offers them refuge for a night and the chance for some work, which Sandor agrees to, but he robs them of their silver the next day. According to him, the poor father and daughter will die regardless when winter comes. Later, he mocks Arya for water dancing and roasts Syrio Forel for being bested by Meryn, giving the vengeful Arya a reality check. What the hell was that laugh? Sandor gives a dying villager the gift of mercy, but is immediately attacked by Rorge and Biter. Last seen in Season 2, not doing much. I assume most casual viewers were wondering why a random dude tried to bite the Hound's neck. Turns out the tavern incident has gone viral, and Tywin Lannister has raised the bounty on the Hound. Sandor breaks Biter's neck, and then Rorge just kinda stands there and lets Arya stab him. It's really odd. This is just a really odd scene in general, I won't lie.
Nothing is just nothing.
Oh, shut up, Arya. The bite wound festers, but Sandor refuses to use fire to cauterize it. He tells Arya about the face-burning situation. She probably already knows, to be honest. Littlefinger leaked the group chat back in Season 1.
The pain was bad. The smell was worse.
Nah, I'm gonna guess the fucking pain was worse than the smell, but that's just me. At last, the Hound and Cub make it to the Vale, but they're told that Lysa has died. She threw herself out of the moon door, the CCTV conveniently wasn't working that day, you know how it goes. I guess they just walk away after this. The guard doesn't say, holy shit, you're the famous outlaw the Hound and you have Arya Stark with you, I'm gonna forcibly capture you both. They're just allowed to walk away. Okay then. In the season finale, the pair bump into Brienne and Podrick. Brienne wants to rescue Arya to fulfill her promise to Catelyn, but the Hound wants to look after her and doesn't trust Brienne's Lannister sword. Their fight scene is brutal. Sandor is such a Chad, he just grabs onto her Valyrian steel sword. You love to see it. Eventually he falls off the cliff, severely wounded. He tries to goad Arya into mercy killing him, bragging about killing Micah and claiming he should have forced himself on Sansa during the Blackwater. She doesn't take the bait, she just takes his coins and leaves him to die, alone and in pain. In A Storm of Swords, the Hound's story is fairly similar. He's captured by the Brotherhood, placed on trial, accused by Arya of killing Micah, and forced to fight and defeat Berry D. He kidnaps Arya and takes her to the twins, although never tries to kill any wagon driver. In fact, Bookhound only ever tries to kill in self-defense, or when explicitly ordered to by a higher authority. As the Red Wedding massacre breaks out, the Hound kills the Tytos Frey with an axe and flees with an unconscious Arya. It is not a random villager he gives the gift of mercy to, but a Piper archer wounded during the Red Wedding. The two travellers stay at a village in the Vale, but Sandor actually works for the money instead of stealing it. The duo are not turned away by Lysa's death, but because the high road to the Eyrie is closed. They also never bump into Brienne. They end up at the Inn of the Crossroads, where they meet Polliver, the Tickler, and a Sarsfield squire, 3 of the Mountain's men. The Hound kills Polliver, while Arya stabs the Tickler to death. Sandor tells Arya to give the wounded squire the gift of mercy with a stab to the heart. Later, Sandor's wounds become infected while they travel to Saltpans, and eventually he begs her to kill him, but she's taken him off her list, so she leaves him to die. While he does spit venom at her like in the show, he also sobs when thinking of Sansa, lamenting how he stood by while she was beaten, and how he took a song from her by force. Back to Game of Thrones. The Hound is nowhere to be seen in Season 5, but then Season 6 rolls around. Turns out he's been living in a cringe commune run by Comrade Ray, the man who nursed him back to health. Sandor remains his cynical self, saying that only hate keeps him alive, and that there's no justice in the world. Ray instead pushes for redemption and peace. After the Brotherhood massacres Ray and the villagers, Sandor Wick grabs an axe and sets off for revenge. Thus begins a dark arc of vengeance and horror. Oh wait, no, he just kills a bunch of bandits while cracking one-liners. Vengeance and murder is funny actually, it's probably one of my favourite Song of Ice and Fire themes.
You're shit at dying, you know that.
Oh, he's such a Redditor, fuck me. Also, what did this guy do? He wasn't one of the 3 men who threatened the village. Why was he beheaded? Sandor finds Lem Lemoncloak and other bandits about to be hanged by Beric Dondarrion and his faction of the Brotherhood, getting his revenge on Lem with a simple kick. The Lightning Lord wants the Hound to join their cause. He and Thoros are headed northwards to fight the White Walkers and save Westeros from the Long Night. In Season 7, Sandor and the Brotherhood are travelling through the Riverlands. The Hound recognises the dilapidated farmhouse, the same one he and Arya stayed at, where he stole the farmer's silver. Beric asks him to look into the flames, and he sees a vision of a mountain shaped like an arrow, and wights marching towards the wall. He later digs graves for the corpses of the farmer and his daughter. Upon reaching the wall, they're thrown into the ice cells, before being recruited by Jon Snow to join the Northern Avengers and take part in a shit episode. I didn't have anything witty for that one. I'm tired and this is shit. At this point, of course, the Hound has truly become his meme self. Dick, what's that? Cock. Huh, Dick, I like it. I bet you do. Ha 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 ha. The journey is perilous. Good thing they don't have horses. Imagine how fucked they'd be if they had horses. Imagine. They fight a frickin' zombie polar bear, capture a white, and get stuck on an ice island.
Dumb cunt.
Haha, it's funny because it's a swear word and the Hound said it, and it's funny when the Hound swears because he swears and it's funny. Sandor fights the Whites with a big ass warhammer and nearly dies from Flanderization, but survives just in time to escape on the back of a dragon. The earlier days were simple, weren't they? He journeys down to King's Landing with the White, bumping into Brienne only to find out that Arya is alive and safe, which makes him smile. At the Dragon Pit, he sees the Mountain for the first time since the Hand's tourney, and promises to kill him. Clegane Bowl get hype, etc. We'll talk about Clegane Bowl later. He shows off the White, but it's all for nothing. Let's just reiterate once more that the entire White expedition is for nothing. An entire dragon is sacrificed for Jaime Lannister. That's literally the trade-off. The Hound makes it to the final season. At Winterfell, he meets Arya once more, and the exchange is tense and awkward. He's happy she's alive and safe, but to be fair, she did rob him and leave him for dead. Their second interaction is more friendly. She questions how the cynical, lonely Hound finds himself fighting for something other than himself, but he reminds her that, all that time ago, he fought to protect her. It's actually a very nice scene. Sandor fights on the front lines, watching as the Dothraki cavalry yeet themselves out of existence. Very nice. Against the onslaught of whites and raging fire, he almost loses hope, but seeing Arya on the back foot gives him the courage to get back up. He saves Arya and protects Melisandre in the Great Hall until the mothership is destroyed and all the aliens fall over. As with all the other survivors, Sandor celebrated the victory feast, and finally reconciles with Sansa.
Heard you were broken in rough.
Whoa, come on man, what the hell? He laments that she never left King's Landing with him, but Sansa knows that without the trauma she'd still be a little bird, without Littlefinger and Ramsay she'd be a little in his... The Hound and Arya journey southwards together, one last ride as Hound and Cub. He wants to kill the Mountain, she wants to kill Cersei. Vengeance shall be theirs, until he suddenly turns around like, nope, revenge is bad, I know we rode all this way, but shit, maybe Ian McShane had a point, vengeance will consume you and kill you, just go away, I'll be the vengeful one, okay bye. He finally confronts the undead Mountain. Clegane Bowl get high, okay, let's address it. Clegane Bowl, long-time fan theory. There's an Alt-Shift-X video about it, there were meme videos about it, smoke weed every day and so on. Whether it's in the books we don't know, but it's very possible D&D saw the theories and the meme and thought, fuck it, let's actually do it. So they fight. One angry dog versus an emotionless zombie. Gregor's been taking acting lessons from Mysaria, I see. Was that too much? During the skirmish, the Mountain almost Oberyn's his own brother, but Sandor stabs him through the head, which causes him to step back. That's his weakness, that's how you get zombies in this universe, you stab them in the head. Near blind, wounded, in a crumbling keep and above a burning city, the Hound rugby tackles his hated brother through a crumbling wall, and down into the flames. Bookhound's story might not yet be over. In A Feast for Crows we meet the elder brother of the Quiet Isle, who claims to have buried the Hound and left his helmet upon the grave. According to him, the Hound is dead and Sandor Clegane is at rest. There is a large gravedigger on the Isle, but that's neither here nor there. The Hound is not so dead in the eyes of Westeros. The helmet is snatched up by Rorge and Biter, brutal thugs who once belonged to the Bloody Mummers. Rorge wears this helmet and travels to Saltpans, looking for a ship to escape on with his band of murderous outlaws. None are available. In fury, the splintered mummers brutally ransack the town, slaying septons, raping scepters, and brutalizing children while Sir Quincy Cox hides behind his castle walls. The story spreads. The infamous outlaw known as the Hound has massacred a town. The new Hound fights Brienne the Beauty at the Inn of the Crossroads, and she bravely slays him. When the Brotherhood without banners arrive at the inn to help Brienne, Lem Lemoncloak takes the dog helm for himself. So what is to come in the Winds of Winter? We must first separate the Hound from Sandor Clegane. The Hound is now more legend than man, a title passed down from brute to brute. Lem Lemoncloak currently holds the moniker, and will continue the Hound's legacy as a violent outlaw, very likely in some sort of horrific act of vengeance against the Freys. A second Red Wedding, mayhaps. Sandor Clegane may be dead, or he may still be alive. He could be the Quiet Isle gravedigger. He's at rest, he's abandoned his violent past, now he lives a life of quiet and peace. That could be the end of his journey, or perhaps he'll return to the story, facing off against his brother in a trial by combat, or fighting against the White Walkers like in the show. We'll have to wait for the Winds of Winter. Please feel free to insert your NPC comment about how Winds is never actually coming out, thank you, it really helps with the algorithm. The Hound of the show and the Hound of the books are dogs of different breeds. Show Sandor has a somewhat messy arc. His relationship with Sansa is so watered down that he doesn't even tell her about his burning face. Oh, Jesus. Also, his climactic scene with Sansa during Blackwater barely leaves an impression. Perhaps they didn't want him coming across as violent and creepy as he does in the books. Yet in other instances, the show Hound is more bloodthirsty than his book counterpart, claiming to have slain women, almost killing the wagon driver for no real reason, stealing money from the poor farmer, clinging on to hatred during the Ian McShane arc. In the show, he is ultimately a good person, protecting Sansa, Arya, and fighting for the greater good up north. Yet he cannot abandon his toxic desire for revenge, and it literally consumes him. Despite being such a dark character, he becomes something of a meme throughout the show, almost a parody of himself at points. While he is genuinely funny and likeable, he does lose his more tragic essence from the earlier seasons. Bookhound is a creepier but ultimately more tragic and resonant character. He's a traumatized man who's lost his idealized view of the world. He views Sansa as an embodiment of that worldview, protecting her while also trying to drive her away. She freely offers to give him a song about an unconventional hero, but he rejects her. Yet later, he demands a song from her at knife point. He didn't deserve it. It was never given to him. He hates knights and hates himself for never being what Sansa would call a true knight. His relationship is interpreted by some readers as romantic, if not erotic. They're even shipped as Sansan by a bunch of sexually repressed women who presumably don't understand concepts like age of consent. Personally, I think the Hound-Sansa dynamic would have worked a lot better if she had been aged up and he had been aged down, but that's just me. Ultimately, the fates of these characters are rather telling. Showhound's story ends in fire and hatred, while Bookhound's story has seemingly ended with quiet and peace, although that remains to be seen. There we go, one of my favourite characters in both book and show. I'll be doing a comparison video about the Mountain soon, and of course there's a Skyrim video being cooked up. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Feel free to check out the Patreon for the Discord and early access and exclusive videos and all that stuff. And there's fun merch too, everything is in the description. Special thanks to all of my patrons, in particular Andre, Caden, Colshot, Devcole, Itchaboi, Elias, Morphy and Pioneer. See you next time.